Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. We'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees so that we can continue with our overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we look at the 10th chapter of the 12th canto. And this is one of the verses spoken by Markandeya Rishi, text number 28 of this chapter. Shri Markandeya Vacha Ahoshwara Lileyam Durvibhavya Saririnam Yannamas Namantisti Sitavyam Yami Yan Namanti Sitavyani Stuvanti Jagat Ishwara. Sri Markandeya said, it is indeed most difficult for embodied souls to understand the pastimes of the universal controllers. For such lords bow down to and offer praise to the very beings they rule. So this is, of course, one of the bewildering things, how the Lord, when he comes to this world, as Ramachandra, he prayed to Lord Shiva. Very bewildering, because who is the master and who is the servant? And Krishna, similarly, he would bow down to his parents, he would bow down to his guru and his elders, but yet he is a supreme controller. Very bewildering indeed. So the chapter's name is Lord Shiva and Uma glorify Markandeya Rishi. In this chapter, Sri Sutta Goswami describes how Markandeya Rishi received benedictions from Lord Shiva. Sutta Goswami said, after witnessing the illusory potency of Lord Narayan, Markandeya Rishi took shelter of him who bestows fearlessness upon all who surrender to him. Even the great demigods are bewildered by his illusory energy, which appear to them in the guise of knowledge. So this is interesting. Knowledge usually would mean you would transcend the illusory energy, but sometimes knowledge can actually be an obstacle in spiritual life and lead us into illusory energy. Of course, there's different types of knowledge. Material knowledge would definitely take us into this illusory energy. But even spiritual knowledge, when it is acquired and it increases one's false ego, will take us into illusory energy. Spiritual knowledge, which taken in the right way, will always lead us away from illusory energy into the spiritual path. Lord Shiva and Parvati meet Markandeya. Once, as Lord Shiva was traveling in the sky on his bull and accompanied with his consort Parvati, he came across Sri Markandeya Muni, merged in meditative trance. Parvati, seeing Markandeya calm as the waters of the ocean, asked Lord Shiva to bestow perfection on the sage. That is obviously due to him. So this is the compassionate nature of the female aspect of the Supreme. So even like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he would say, Krishna might be a little hard, but Radharani is very soft. So we can happily stand right at the back of the temple, and Radharani will be looking not at the close ones, but at the far away ones. And she will be saying to the Lord, look at that devotee standing at the back. Bestow your blessing on him. This is the kindness of the internal potency of the Lord. Even knowing that this saintly Brahman would not desire any benediction, not even liberation itself, for he has attained pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Lord Shiva still presented himself before the sage to grant him the result of his austerities and to associate with the saintly devotee. So we know Lord Shiva's position is the greatest Vaishnava. So Vaishnavas associate with other Vaishnavas. So he knew Markandeya Rishi was already completely fixed in bhakti. He wouldn't even care for liberation. But still, Lord Shiva went to associate with him. Coming out of his trance, Markandeya Rishi saw Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the three worlds, together with Parvati, and he worshipped them by offering them obeisances, words of greeting, and a seating place. So this is a minimum we can do when we see an elder. Offer them obeisances, words of greeting, and a seating place, and some water, maybe. As Markandeya's material mind had stopped functioning, he failed to notice that Lord Shiva and his wife had personally come to see him. Understanding the situation very well, Lord Shiva employed his mystic power to enter within the sky of Markandeya's heart. So Markandeya saw Lord Shiva suddenly appear within his heart. This is quite incredible because he was already in spiritual trance. So what did he see within his heart? Lord Shiva's golden hair resembling lightning. He had 3 eyes, 10 arms, and a tall body that shone like the rising sun. He wore a tiger skin, carried a trident, bow, arrows, sword, and shield, along with prayer beads, a damura, the maru drum. Was it?
Damru.
Damru. Okay, damru drum. A skull. This is what distinguishes Shiva from everybody else. And an axe. Astonished, the sage came out of his trance and thought, who is this? And where has he come from? Opening his eyes, the sage saw Lord Rudra, together with Uma and Rudra's followers. Of course, wherever Lord Shiva goes, he has a contingent with him, always. His followers, they always want to be with him, never leave him alone. He then offered his respectful obeisances by bowing his head. Markandeya worshipped Lord Shiva along with Uma and Shiva's associates by offering them words of welcome, sitting place, water for washing their feet, scented drinking water, fragrant oils, flower garlands, arti lamps. So this is a proper way to worship the devotees. He said, what can I possibly do for you who are fully satisfied by your own ecstasy? Indeed, you satisfy this entire world. As the Lord of goodness, you give pleasure. In contact with the mode of passion, you appear most fearful. And you also associate with the mode of ignorance. So Lord Shiva has actually, he's predominantly in charge of mode of ignorance. Doesn't mean he's ignorant, of course. We have to understand he's transcendental to the modes. But he appears as the Lord of mode of goodness. He gives pleasure to his devotees. Mode of passion, he destroys the world. And in the mode of ignorance, he gives his association to those who are very unfortunate, those who are in the mode of ignorance. This is one of the greatness of Lord Shiva. Whoever has been rejected, he will give them shelter. Who can match Lord Shiva's compassion? Right? Extraordinary, extraordinary compassion. Lord Shiva was satisfied with Markandeya's praise, Markandeya Muni's praise, and he requested the sage to ask for some benediction. Lord Shiva said, Lord Brahma, the Supreme Lord Hari, and I glorify and worship the Brahmins who are saintly, always peaceful, free of material attachment, compassionate to all living beings, always peaceful, free from material attachment, compassionate, purely devoted to us, the Trimurti, devoid of hatred and endowed with equal vision. This is pretty rare. These devotees do not differentiate between Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and me. nor do they differentiate between themselves and other living beings. So they are looking at every living entity in equal capacity. Therefore, because you are this kind of saintly devotee, we worship you. But devotees like you purify immediately just by being seen. Even the worst sinners are purified just by hearing about or seeing personalities like you. Imagine then how purified they become by directly speaking with you. So this is again describing the potency of the devotee. We've heard this time and again in the Bhagavatam, how the devotee can immediately, even a moment's, even a second's association with devotee can rid one of all impurities. So here is confirmed again, this time by Lord Shiva. Markandeya, having been forced by Lord Vishnu's illusory energy to wander about for a long time in the water of dissolution, had become extremely exhausted. But Lord Shiva's words of nectar vanquished his suffering, and he addressed Lord Shiva. It is difficult for embodied souls to understand the pastimes of the Lord. So this is the verse that we read. Very difficult for us to understand the pastimes of the Lord, especially when they bow down to and offer praise to the souls they rule. So this is because Lord Shiva is saying, we the three Murti, worship devotees like you. So Markandeya Muni is saying, throwing it back at the Lord Shiva is saying, this is why it's so difficult to understand you. This is to induce embodied souls to accept religion. This apparent humility is simply a show of mercy. Such behavior does not reduce the Supreme's power. So we should understand that. This humility doesn't make the Lord inferior in any way. Markandeya continued, since I have received the benediction of seeing you, what other benediction can I ask for? However, I ask to have unfailing devotion for the Supreme Lord and his dedicated devotees, especially you. So, satisfied with Markandeya's devotion, Lord Shiva awarded him the boon of freedom from old age and death until the time of the universal dissolution. Also awarded him knowledge of all three phases of time, past, present, and future, renunciation, realized knowledge, and the position of a teacher of the Puranas. Having thus granted Markandeya Rishi's benedictions, Lord Shiva went on his way, continuing to describe to Goddess Devi, Parvati, the accomplishments of the sage and the direct exhibition of the Lord's illusory power that he had experienced. Markandeya Rishi is glorious because of his achievement of perfection in mystic yoga. Even today, he travels about this world, fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although this event was unique and unprecedented, some unintelligent persons compare it to the normal cycle of illusory material existence the Lord has created for conditioned soul. But it wasn't, because this was specifically created for Markandeya Rishi. It was not a normal annihilation of the world. It was just created to please the devotee's one request, to see illusory energy. Those who chant and hear the story of Markandeya Rishi will attain liberation from material life, which is based on accumulated desires generated from fruitive work. So yesterday, Nanivan was asking about the passing away of Markandeya. Well, he's still in this world. And this is part of the benediction given by Lord Shiva. He won't leave this world until the time of universal dissolution. And I presume that means when Lord Brahma's life ends, which is a long, long time away. 150 trillion years at least. So, got long life as Markandeya Rishi. So that's the end of this chapter. Any questions, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Sitaram.
This means that Markandeya Rishi is still on this earth planet.
Yes. Oh, somewhere at least.
Just, I know we cannot see him. I agree. We cannot see him.
No.
That's it.
Yeah. No.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu is in the Himalaya. Yeah.
He probably is one of the places, but I suspect he's got free reign throughout the universe to go anywhere he wants. Like Narad
He could go
Muni.
to the heavens.
Yeah, like Narad Muni. He can be everywhere. He's not, I think he can't be restricted. And we can't see him like Sitaram Prabhu was saying, but the pure devotees can. And the example is when Prabhupada was giving class sometime in the US, and there were not many devotees in the class. So one of the devotees said to Srila Prabhupada, sorry that so many people did not come. And Prabhupada said, well, didn't you see? Didn't you see? Narad Muni was here. Didn't you see? So in that way, the pure devotees, they're able to see these great souls, because these great souls come when the kathas are going on. So that's very interesting as well.
Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, when we are having classes in the temples, sometimes there are no devotees to attend classes. But the person who is giving class, he says, no. There are other great souls sitting here listening to the classes.
Hmm.
They have a very good thoughts. They are learned person, Prabhuji. So we agree with them. Sometimes one by one, some 5, 6, 10 devotees come. And that devotee who is giving class is normal. He doesn't say anything. Why you are late? Why you have not come on time? What is this? What is that? Hare Krishna.
Very true. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say, even if there's nobody, the 4 walls are listening. In our case, even if there's nobody listening, Zoom is listening. So, okay. So we can, any other comments, questions? We can bring it to a close. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Canto 12 ki jai, Chapter 10 ki jai.